will ultimately reach a better place. You, an hour ago, touched down in Dublin Airport. You've come, Alistair picked you up, Alistair Livingstone of the yoga studio in Uri, where you're going to be over the next 10 days. Alistair picked you up and took you straight to us.
That's right.
You're a tired man.
With a bit of a need of a shave.
Need of a shave and a sleep, I'd say.
Right.
But you've taken the trouble to come to us, David. And the yoga influence in your life, you live in Australia, you've been working in California, you've been working in New York. And New York was your last place. What were you doing there?
There I was studying. I went back to one of my peers who has a shala, and I simply wanted to go back into the practice and do with him. It's a good thing to, it's a part of a tribe. You share this practice that we do. Everyone does exactly the same practice. And so you go and share his experience with him.
Mm-hmm. But his practice is perhaps unique to him.
Well, it's the form of the practice. What I do is something called Ashtanga Yoga, and it was a traditional practice handed by my guru, Pattabhi Jois, and I learned it in India, and that's the same place that my colleague in New York learned it. And it's very specific. It follows a certain systematic development for several different series of postures, and you do it that way.
You have, I sense, grown very strong in yoga, and the evidence for that is your gentleness. You're coming across to me as a very gentle, feather-like individual, but you become gentle out of strength, I think.
Guruji wanted us to, he said, my students become light from doing this practice. It's a very physical practice that brings about a lightness in both your mind and your body by doing it. So it's I would say almost aerobic in its discipline.
So, as I say, I can't get away from your gentleness, your lightness. It has worked in that way. What the man said has happened. Mm. When did your journey, your crusade into yoga begin?
It began with my wife's pregnancy. She was occupied in her mind and her body with being pregnant, and I started meditation at that point and started reading about yoga. This is 35 years ago, 36 years ago. And it developed from there. One thing led to the next, and it went through many forms of yoga, many different teachers of yoga, before I finally found this particular form in about 1991.
That took you to India?
That took me to India. Right.
A big enough step for a man living in Australia to decide he's going to up sticks and go to India and discover things, you know. That going to India at that time, it was a voyage, in a sense, into the unknown.
Hmm. And a frightening one. I was afraid of India. I insisted on living in a hotel when I went there because I didn't know what to expect. Mm. I was very shy. But as soon as I walked into my teacher's home and he offered me a cup of coffee, I knew I was home.
You knew you were home. Mm. And was it the kind of ashram situation that we associate with the Beatles and things like that?
No. My teacher was a Sanskrit scholar. He came from a Brahmin family his father was an astrologer, and he taught at the Sanskrit college in Mysore, India, as well as being the yoga master in that Sanskrit college. And he taught out of his own home. After the Maharaja of Mysore gave him the land to build a small home. He built a home, and within that he built his yogashala. So you would go there, but you would have to find your own accommodation within the town. It wasn't a situation in which you went in and lived in his home. There were only room for 12 people in his home, so you had to stand in line to get in. So you did your practice over a couple of hours, and as soon as you vacated the spot, then the next person was invited in.
Many people take up yoga. They feel it's the thing for them. Many people walk away from yoga, but yoga held on to you and holds on to so many people who go there. But for other people, the attraction isn't magnetic enough to keep them there. What did you find in yoga that kept you motivated, that kept you improving, that kept giving meaning to your life?
I think it was the energy of the tribe. I felt a part of something larger than myself. And with my guru's affection and attention to this tribe, I felt a part of a group that was really important to me.
Yeah.
I felt like I could go anywhere in the world and study this discipline. It would always be the same.
Yeah.
That I liked that.
Yeah, yeah. That business of needing to belong to a group. As a human being, you tell me you're a shy person. As a human being, are you in need of that kind of shared human experience?
Oh yeah. I think connection is what we're here for.
Really?
Oh yeah. I think to connect with other human beings is our intention of this life.
Yeah.
And that has been one of my best ways of doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I go for. That's what I do now with my teaching. Is I go to the schools where this form is taught, and share my take on that, and add what my experience has been, and see if that helps anyone.
Are you? You said that's why we were put here. Who puts us here?
Oh, I can't answer that question. We are here.
You sense though that that we're part of a grander design, do you?
I do, a grander
Yeah.
design, but
The architect we know
genesis of
not.
that, the architect, no, I don't know.
I don't know either. That's I often say I'm too intelligent to believe there's a God, but I'm equally too intelligent to believe there's no God. So I describe myself as an optimistic agnostic, and leave it at that. And that's the way it develops. You've come to us over here. You're bringing your message to the yoga studio with Alistair Livingstone up at the Abbey Yard in the Master's house. What has yoga done for you in your life?
It's kept me going. It's kept me going through lots of ups and downs, through changes in life, some more dramatic than others. Going from teaching in a university to being retired from that, going through the birth of my grandchildren, but then the more traumatic ones, as the separation from my wife after 35 years of marriage. That was a huge hump that yoga helped me through.
We have a commonality there. 35 years of marriage, you separate with your wife. 44 years of marriage, I separate from my wife. But connectivity is still there in some way. Yoga got you through it. I think perhaps the mountains and the sea and the sky got me through my Via Dolorosa, if you like. And it doesn't have to be yoga. Are there many? You sense that in humanity we have many ways of achieving our quietude, our nirvana. You think that happens? If it's not yoga, it can be.
Well, I think there's studies of the mind that you can go through. I think psychotherapy is a great deal, a great help, and can go along with the yoga therapy that you're doing, the yoga practice that you're doing. To have someone to talk things out with, to have someone to share with, someone to witness your life, along with your yoga practice. I think
I
it's a great combination.
remember going to a psychotherapist once. And he asked me, I had difficulties in my heart and in my mind, and I was trying to come through them. And he said to me, Rowan, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being totally depressed, 10 being exquisite happiness, where would you place yourself? I said 9.5. The man thought I was delusionary. He thought I was making it, but it was true. It is possible for the human being to have happiness in spite of a bed of nails that he walks on or lies on. What's that about in terms of the mind-soul thing? How does good so easily coexist with the evil of hurt?
There's a yoga mantra, Purnamida, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. All is perfect. When you take perfect away from perfect, it's still perfect. It's the way things are.
Wow.
And you just, in your mind, whatever is happening is the way it's supposed to be. And if you come to that place of being, then you kind of calm down.
Yeah. canvases. That's what it's about. You dance. You're a performer. Where does this occur?
Oh, that was a former life. that started.
Alistair has known you. Alistair Livingstone has known you.
Alistair was my lighting designer.
Wow.
Alistair and I worked on many shows together when I was a head of the dance department at the University of Adelaide in South Australia. And I had been a performer in modern dance and a choreographer and directed that dance department for many years.
Fantastic. You've come to us, as I say, and I'm conscious of this straight from the plane. You're going to bring great colour, great enthusiasm, and great inspiration to the people who will attend at the yoga studio up at Abbey Yard. We'll keep in touch with you during your time here, if we may.
Thank you.
And see where the journey takes us. I wish you well.
Thank you.
And welcome to Newry.
Thank you.
Get some sleep.
I will.
You'll need a rest. But we'll talk to you later and perhaps talk to Alistair as well.
Great.
In the course of the next 10 days. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much. Both are
very good. So look, that's my dear friend. I sense him as a friend now. We met him, David Roach, a yoga teacher extraordinaire, and we'll be returning to that subject in the future. So we're at it. That's it for us today. Tomorrow, another day, another dollar, another road to traverse, to walk upon. And I'll be back with you at 7:30 in the morning, and I have an interesting story to bring you then from the grounds of Narrowwater Castle.